And welcome back to Beer Fueled Fantasy Football. We are on to the last of the position groups. We have 13 tight ends to get through today. That's going to hit us to 100 prospects on the nose that we've watched for you guys. Got all our rankings done. You guys excited to be finished?
I am very excited to be
I'm
finished.
always excited to finish.
When I watched that last tight end, I don't even know. I had to walk downstairs, crack a beer, just chug some water.
Think about your life.
Replenish my electrolytes.
Think about your life choices.
Etc. etc.
So when you
Make myself a sandwich.
When you sent me congratulations the other day, I wasn't sure what you were referring to because I had won John Ross in that auction league. And on top of it, I had just finished my last tight end in like a 10-minute span. So I'm not sure which thing he's congratulating me for.
I don't know how I would have known the other one unless I was stalking you, which I'm not.
Maybe you had the draft sheet
Only
open. I don't
stalkers
know.
say they don't stock.
Oh, hey, I forgot to take the logo off the recording. There we are. Hey, guys, what's up?
Well, you're just hearing voices for now.
My bad.
We're still figuring
We're getting better at
We're
this
still figuring
slowly.
shit out.
I was distracted by conversation. That's completely on me. We're not professionals. We don't claim to be. So
Nope.
Here we are. You can see us now.
Yeah.
What's up?
And if you are grabbing this show on the normal Monday time and you don't subscribe to us so you don't check for podcasts automatically, go back to Friday. We did a special mock draft episode with Matt Hicks from Top 2 Sports. So go ahead and check that out. It's 48 players picked overall. I think it ended up being about an hour and 20 minutes, so sorry for it going a little long. But overall, it was a great episode.
It's a mock draft episode. Lot of good information.
Yeah. Well, if people hadn't picked like Akram Wadley, not Wadley, Balaj.
Yeah,
I like Wadley.
The longest fight was on Mayfield.
Oh.
Was it? No,
Yeah.
it was.
Was it really?
It was
'Cause
absolutely.
Matt doesn't like Mayfield. That's right.
You guys argued about Mayfield for a good 5 minutes.
Well, he's my boo. So
Yeah,
we got to protect our boo.
I like Mayfield. We like Mayfield.
All right. So enough about that. Just quick shout out to our social media. We're Beer Fueled Fantasy Football on YouTube. Thank you to everyone who is watching us on there. We are seeing some regular views come through there. The show is at Beer Fueled FF on Twitter. Individually, I am at Nick Sparts. Christopher Hopper's to my left.
At Hot BFF with 2 Ps. Be sure to tune in during the first round of the NFL Draft to our YouTube channel. We'll be doing live commentary on that. We're better than Mel Kiper. He sucks. We're better than ESPN. So we'll be there to give you pick analysis and some fun. We'll be playing some drinking games with each other. May do some drink votes, win some shots or whatever come up. So yeah, we'll have some fun with it. We'll make it interactive. Be there to answer questions, respond to picks. So yeah, be sure to tune into that.
And then across the table from me is Dan Thury.
Hopper stole all my words.
Yes,
at
he did.
3 BFF.
That is pretty normal.
I love taking the words right out of your mouth, baby doll.
Ooh.
All right. Time for a beer preview.
I'm all worked up now.
All right, and from New Orthodox Brewing Company from Williamston, Michigan, we have M43 Northeast Style India Pale Ale. It's their first time on the show with us. This is a beer that's been getting quite hyped up lately, and I think we just got to the area.
Yep, it just got here last week. It was the one that actually lost out on the vote on the bonus episode, but it is absolutely delicious. We'll have a full review for you later in the episode.
All right, time for a couple news items. Just as a reminder here, too, we only stick to news that actually has happened. We're not going to get into all the draft speculation or all the things like this may or may not happen.
You mean that like the Browns
might draft 2
authority?
quarterbacks?
Yeah.
Well, no, that they prefer big hand quarterbacks.
Oh, yeah, that too.
They look good in shorts.
I laughed a little bit when I read that one.
Yeah, rumors is for training camp.
Yeah, we'll fight about that when there's actually...
I think we'll actually dedicate a couple episodes to rumors.
Yeah,
we normally do.
We'll
Yeah,
get there,
we'll
and that'll make sense. But this time of year, we got enough other stuff to cover that we'll stick to things that have actually happened.
Yep.
With that being said, first up, we have Ravens signing Alex Clowns to a 1-year contract. He was an exclusive rights free agent, so basically it was sign the deal with them or not play football.
Yep.
Yeah, they have a glut of a cluster F at running back, so there you go.
Probably only
And
second.
they still want to draft one.
Of course they do.
Well,
They do.
they should, because if you draft a guy that's above your other guys, then he should start. If you draft somebody,
That's how that works.
if you draft somebody that's decent, that's better than your pool of mediocrity.
Their entire running
back
back core is would be like third on most teams' depth chart.
Right now, yeah.
Yeah,
Collins is
absolutely.
the only one who might fight for second
Dixon's got the talent, but he's an idiot. So there you go.
and keeps hurting himself.
Yep.
He can't stay healthy and can't stay off pads.
All right, staying with the Ravens, they signed Willie Snead to a 2-year, $10.4 million offer sheet. I don't expect New Orleans to match that now that
They
brought in Meredith.
I still like Willie Snead as a wide receiver too, and I think he'll have more opportunity in Baltimore than he will with Meredith and Ginn and Thomas in New Orleans. So I actually like this move.
Yeah, it's a great move. It helps them with their slot position more. They can not have to worry really much about throwing it in. Was it they do with a super long name, Campanero?
Who's gone now?
Who's gone.
Anyway, so I like the move. They give Joe Flacco some more weapons at least.
Yeah,
Try to do something.
with Snead and Crabtree. Yeah, he's got some stuff, and ultimately, bringing in Snead, who's been around the block at least a couple of years now, and Crabtree, who's older. I still like that fit because Flacco's an older quarterback, so you're bringing in people that really fit where this team is.
Yep, and they've always done well with bringing in these veteran receivers. They just can't fucking draft one to save their life.
No.
Nope.
All right, and last piece of news, Giants released / failed physical. I'm not sure what the exact difference in the designation is. Wide receiver Brandon Marshall, so he is off the team and now looking for a new spot.
Day after he told Des Bryant there wasn't room for him there.
Whoops.
He needs to retire.
He needs to go into. He wants to do broadcasting, doesn't he?
Yeah, and I think he'd be good at that role. And his foundation does great things for mental health, which is awesome. So, but overall, he's been hurt and/or not productive each of the last 3 seasons now. So, yeah, I think it's time for Marshall to ride off into the sunset.
Yeah, his body is starting to give up on him. He's a 34-year-old receiver that's been very physical his whole time he's played, and it's just not holding up anymore.
The fact that he's lasted this long is pretty impressive, though.
It is.
Yeah.
600-yard or 6,000-yard receivers, seasons, and receptions is great, too.
And the fact that he bounced back from what happened in Miami and the character issues, which were eventually attributed to mental conditions, it's been awesome to watch and borderline inspirational. So he's turned in from a guy that was hard to like to a guy that's really easy to like, and I think it's just time though.
Yeah, and it wasn't a small mental issue; it was borderline personality
It's
disorder.
borderline personality, which is rough.
Massive problem. But yeah, that's all we got for news today. We're expecting significantly longer news segment when we do draft recap next week.
Yeah, it's just, shit's about to get real.
Yep, we're kind of in the lull before the storm right now.
Yeah, calm before the storm.
All right, shall we hit some tight ends?
Well, no, but we can preview them. I don't want to hit them. Most of these are pretty big dudes.
Some of these guys I don't want to lay a finger on.
Might get my ass kicked.
Draft preview.
All right, before we get into this, the original plan was to do this over 2 episodes. We narrowed the list down, though, from a few guys. We're just like, there's nothing here, so we're cutting them off. We cut it down to 13 players, decided we're going to try to squeeze this all into 1 episode. So we've got 4 tiers for all 13 players.
There's 6 guys that are worth a damn. Then after that, we'll be officially doing due diligence.
Yeah, this is basically going to be half a real episode and half a due diligence episode.
Yep.
All right, starting off with tier 1, our top overall player, Dallas Goedert out of South Dakota State, 7.9 overall. It was kind of an even split. Dan was right in the middle at 7.8. Hopper was lowest at 7.6, and I was the highest at 8.0.
Did you move him down, Hopper?
No, you always had him at 7.6.
I always had him right behind Gesicki.
I thought you and I tied him.
No, I think that him and Gesicki are very, very similar, but I always had him slightly lower.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, go ahead and say what you.
No. I want you to pump him up.
Yeah,
Okay.
you don't. Yeah,
I like him a lot, but I want you to soapbox for a minute so
All right.
that I can call you out for being a hypocrite.
So I'm going to say this first. This is not as good a draft class as it was last year. He would not be in my top 3 for last year's draft class because all those guys would have scored over an 8 for me, and that's Ingram, Howard, and Njoku. He would have been right about the same spot that Shaheen and Everett were last year. That being said, he shows amazing ability to block. He runs through players and kind of gives you that extra effort you want to see when he's making blocks. He's good in both pass and run protection. Probably the best blocker of any guy who I think can actually be a fantasy-relevant tight end in this league. On top of it, he's good at high-pointing the ball. He's got great hands. He makes guys miss in space. He runs through tackles. He kind of gives you everything you want to see out of a tight end at the college level where you're like, yeah, I can see him making plays at the next level, scoring a lot of touchdowns, moving the ball between the 20s. So he flashed everything I want to see. He didn't show me nearly as many warts as Gesicki did, which is why I have him higher. My only concern with him is it is an FCS competition. If he'd done this tape against in a Power 5 conference, he probably would have been 8-2, 8-3, 8-4 instead of 8-0.
So to be clear, he's dominating lower level competition and putting up amazing numbers and stuff.
He is.
Okay, that's a good thing, right?
You'd want somebody to do that, yeah.
Yeah, and usually when people do that, it's pretty high hopes for the next level.
You're leading me onto something. Just get to the point.
I definitely am. I'm leading you on to your double standard here when it comes to South Dakota State players that tear up the competition.
Okay, and you know my issues with Weineke.
It was his combine, but and Goddard's combine was amazing. But still, I just wanted to pinpoint that little thing to where you normally want people to dominate competition with Goddard and Weineke both did, but we love one.
I mean, given how bad his combine is and the fact that he came from an FCF school, the fact that I still have a decent grade on Weineke shows that I still do love him.
Anyway, on to Goddard, though. I just wanted to rib a little bit there because I was going over it and thought it was funny that both of those players destroyed competition, but you can paint the narrative on them so differently. And that does center around the combine. Goddard's combine was amazing. His combine comp was actually Owen Daniels, who was very, very productive in the league for a long time. No tight end at a larger school has put up those wide receiver-like numbers, actually. Mm-hmm. When you go on to College Football Reference and query on people that are around Goddard's numbers, you get a bunch of NFL-caliber wide receivers, which tells you that he's one hell of a move tight end. He's got exceptional size, speed, athleticism, excellent ball tracker. He produced when he wasn't the only option in this offense, just like we said with Weineke. Like Nick, my only issue with him was a smaller school guy. I think he needed a little bit more polishing as a blocker, but he's awesome as a receiver.
You guys hit on all the great high notes. 6.6 drop rate on catchable targets, which is pretty good. Obviously, you always want that lower. He's not the best in the class, but this is on catchable targets. You're not taking into account his full target share. He lined up as the traditional tight end spot, blocked and ran blocked. This is per PFF 206 times. So he is comfortable blocking in that true traditional role. Now he does need some work on that. He's going from an FCS.
I'm
guy.
comfortable playing guitar. That doesn't mean I'm good at it.
Yeah, exactly. He's going against FCS guys, which he has some struggles against. He wasn't the perfect blocker against him. Now he's going to be going up against some of the best in the league. Now, a team that drafts him is not going to use him as a main blocker. That's not what he's being used for.
Hey, Jimmy Graham wasn't either.
Exactly.
Evan Ingram wasn't either, and those are both guys that, Graham's been productive for a long time, and Ingram was the most productive out of his class last year.
Yeah,
So.
and he posted a 30.2 dominator rating, which is fantastic. His breakout age is low, but as a tight end, you can get away with that. His dominator rating is what we'd like to see, though, at 30.2, 89th percentile dominator rating.
Yep, he's got great size, 6'4", 256. So he's not as big as some of the guys from last year's class, but he's big enough. And
I call him the FCS version of OJ Howard, where he may not be as athletic as OJ Howard, but he was able to be a decent balance as one of the top tight ends in this class.
And I mean, that 6.87 cone is awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah, it is.
It is very good.
And quite honestly, 23 on bench, he's not weak. So
Nope.
He had a 4.31 20-yard shuttle at his pro day, which is relatively good, especially for a guy that size. Like, he's prototypical move tight end, which is what you want in fantasy.
Yep.
Yeah, he's a great player overall. I'm a big fan of his, and I think he's probably going to end up going late first round, early second round. He'll be one of the first two tight ends taken.
Yep.
All right, on to the other guy in our top tier here, and that is Mike Gesicki out of Penn State. He is going to be more of a pure move tight end with his athletic profile. He was not nearly as good a blocker that I saw on tape, but the athletic profile is unbelievable.
He destroyed the combine.
Yeah.
He made it his bitch, and now they're going to change the name to the Mike Gesicki combine.
He put up a 40 that was in line with running back numbers, a 3-cone that's in line with wide receiver numbers, at a 41.5 vertical and a 4.1 shuttle. He athletically comps to Jared Cook, who was, that's been the hype around Jared Cook, was just how amazing of an athlete he is.
Yeah, it's him and Vernon Davis are the two comparisons.
Yep. The other thing I want to say is, as far as him as a blocker, first off, he played for Penn State. He was run blocking for Saquon Barkley. Mm-hmm. So that says something right there. He's actually not necessarily a terrible blocker. He's not the best in the class, but if you I mean, you've got people blocking for you if you have the season that Saquon Barkley does. And Gesicki did that relatively well, but he also managed really solid receiving numbers in an offense that was focused on Barkley and not Trace McSorley on the passing game. So he looks like an NFL tight end. He's an above-average athlete, as we've already harped on. Great hands and positioning. Him and Goddard are the two that if I'm targeting a tight end in my rookie draft that I want to get my hands on.
I want one of these guys. I think Gesicki has a higher ceiling. I think a little bit lower floor because he doesn't have the blocking, and with tight ends, it takes a couple years for them to really get under, they get things going, especially for him where it's going to be hard to see a team not want to try him as a blocker. It took Jimmy Graham to post ridiculous receiving numbers and not even be used as a blocker. And Gesicki is the closest thing we're going to get to that at this point. But he had, a decent career when it comes to having a fairly low drop rate. It started off a little bit weak for him. He finished with a 9.5% career drop rate, which is not great when he only had 5 drops on his last 2 seasons, which gave him a 5% drop rate over that span, which is fantastic.
Yeah. The only other thing I'm going to hammer him on is I didn't think he looked that technical in any of his route running or ability to create separation. He basically just relied on pure athleticism to do it, which he will struggle with that in the NFL. So he is going to have to get a coach in his ear and kind of teach him how to play the position and run routes properly.
Yeah, and I will say this before we go any further also. The learning curve for tight ends is more so than it is for anything, maybe other than quarterback in the transition.
I would say the hit rate on first-year quarterbacks is way better than
it's
tight ends.
Probably better than tight ends. Tight ends, if you draft them, you may be in year 2 or year 3 before you see the benefits from that. There's just such a steep curve for what they're asked to do and the multitude of things that they're asked to do. So just keep that in mind also.
Which is why you see a lot of these tight ends that actually, do well in the league or on their second team doing that because the first team that takes them, they didn't see enough with them. They let them go, and then they actually flourish in a different offense because they're already there.
Well, yeah, and then a coach will just correct one small part of their game that a previous coach didn't do, and now they're suddenly able to start doing something.
I mean, look at a guy like Travis Kelce who was mediocre for a long time, and then he took off.
Yeah, well, he was also dealing with injuries too.
He dealt with injuries a lot, but the productivity wasn't always there either. Mm-hmm. So he always had the potential, but the productivity wasn't there, and then he finally put it all together. So just something to keep in mind with some of these higher touted players.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, these tight ends, what you're looking for out of the first year or two is you just want to see flashes.
Zach Ertz, same thing.
Yep. If you're like, hey, that was a really good play, just that one there, and you start seeing that a little bit more consistently through the first 2 years, you're like,
add him playing time.
And you want to see the playing time go up.
You just want to see them on the field.
As long as those two things happen, you got a slow boil going at tight end, and you may have a breakout.
Yep.
All right, that's it for the top 2 tiers. Where are you taking these two in rookie drafts right now? Because in the mock, I took them both in the second round. You guys both thought they were a little too high.
I would be willing to take them mid to late second at the earliest and early third at the latest. I wouldn't take one at the 201 like you did in a single tight end format. Yes. Obviously, if you're playing 2 tight end, then it's different. But in a single tight end format, I'd be willing to go mid to late second probably as a safe spot to take them.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be where you start taking your high upside flyer picks, guys that, with tight ends, like we just said, it takes them a couple years. Some of these other receivers, running backs around that time just may not hit, and then that's that. I don't want to waste a high, a decently high draft pick, the first 20 picks on a guy that may or may not hit, and we may not know for 2 years.
Yeah, I'm looking at, like Dan said, first 20, probably 2.8 to the 3.2.
Okay. As you saw, I have Goddard way higher.
Yeah, you're way high on Goddard. And, it just depends also. I mean, there's a lot that goes into that. Team need obviously factors in. If you need a tight end, you may go sooner.
All right, shall we get to tier 2?
Let's go to tier 2.
All right, this is where it gets a little bit more fun. There's a pretty significant gap here. The score we gave on Gesicki was 7.8. It's a drop to 7.3 before we get to the third player.
And that's what it should be.
Yep. Because these guys all have something.
Yep.
All right. Up first, we have Hayden Hurst out of South Carolina, 7.3 overall. Let's just get the first word out of the way. He played minor league baseball for a few years. He's going to come into the league at 25.
But he's polished. He's a polished pass catcher. 0 drops this season. He's going to be able to contribute. He may be the one tight end that actually, just jumps in year 1. Maybe, he lands in a spot where he can actually have some little of fantasy production just because of that.
I got a name for you Vikings fans. Vincente Shenko.
He reminds you of Shanko.
Huh?
Yeah, that was his combine comp.
Ah, okay.
When I ran the numbers with each other, it's Vincente Shenko.
The one good.
The one good
There's
tight
the
end
one good
before.
season.
Yeah. Middle of the road college production. He did play, like you said, minor league baseball for a couple of years. His receiving traits are above average. He's got good positioning. He fights through defenders, but he's kind of a terrible blocker. He doesn't engage or hold them. Actually, I don't think he could block a cock if he was the ugly friend in a group of girls at the bar. So.
Oh, you've been saving that one for a while, haven't you?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
So yeah, he definitely needs to work on his blocking, which is not good because he's already so old at this
Nick
point.
awkwardly tries to power through.
Nope.
All I'm gonna do.
I will. I will appreciate this stroke when I can.
I appreciate that.
Though he does have probably the best versatility of any tight end we looked at.
He'll
Yeah.
end up as a Y back.
I don't know. I'm more meh on him than I am the next two guys we're going to talk about. So
Okay.
I know, and partially it's his draft stock. There's a lot of people that are high on him.
I mean, I think Dan was the one who really loved him, wasn't it?
I just like his as you said, with his versatility. I called him this year's George Kittle. He played. I swear, just on the film that I watched,
Kittle's a better blocker.
You were the one who brought him up so much.
I think overall I was higher on tight ends, though. I was the first one that went through and ranked them, and I think that my blocking numbers were generally higher, so my baseline was higher.
Yeah, you had him at a 7.5, and we had him 7.2.
Well, anyways,
Yeah.
I do agree with you that Kittle is a far better blocker. He's also vastly way more athletic. This is just in terms of where he lined up on the field and where he.
Kittle's
where he
more
contributed.
athletic than Hurst?
Yes.
Jesus.
Did you see his player profile?
Hurst or Kittle's?
No, Kittle's. Like he posted, I think, I'm pretty sure 80+ percentile on everything.
If this tells you anything about how far we've come from last year on what we're looking into, here you go.
Holy shit!
Yeah, like he ran a 4.51 I thought it said, right?
4.52.
Yeah, yeah.
I think if we had looked at all this shit last year, you guys might have been closer to me on George Kittle.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So as I just said, though, it's not that he's not a. Kittle's a far better blocker. I just like the fact that he can line up and be productive on both sides. This is in an H-back role or on the line or as a move tight end. He at least, a flash that versatility. Now his age is a huge concern because just as Nick alluded to it, if you're a bad blocker at 25, by the time you're supposed to hit this breakout age, which is about 2 to 3 years in, their team's already moved on from you and is looking for
Yeah, you're already
your next
27,
replacement.
28.
which is what we'll get to when we get to another guy.
Tight
in
ends
this
can
draft.
play till their mid-late 30s, but it's not super common.
They could.
No, it's
They need team investments on
not.
that.
I'm still mind blown by the honest realization that we've gotten smarter in the last year.
I would hope so after 120 odd episodes.
Yeah, we've also now watched close to 200 players' tapes.
Watched
Yeah.
way too much.
Now we're learning things. Hopefully you guys are too.
All right, on
Sometimes.
to Mark Andrews.
I like this more.
Your rankings do not say that.
No,
Well, either way,
not,
they're just rankings or rankings.
not more than her. Yeah, and those will move around too after the draft and whatnot. And they'll move around as I develop things on players. I don't go back and adjust the spreadsheet because I don't want to screw up the episode after I go and look at numbers and deep dive and other things. Learning point for next year. Do that sooner.
All right. So Mark Andrews out of Oklahoma. He's generally, I think, considered to be the number 3 tight end in this class over Hurst. But
Hurst
I've
is
seen Hurst higher in most people's. I'm pretty sure NFL.com has Hurst as their number 1 or 2
okay.
player. So I've seen Hurst higher
In the mocks I've looked at, I've generally seen Andrews
in mocks.
going
Yes,
first.
yeah, because he's going to have more fantasy relevance.
No, I'm not talking about rookie mocks. I'm talking about NFL mocks.
Okay.
So, Mark Andrews, his combine comp was Ben Watson. No word on Mafia ties, though. But he's a reliable hands catcher. He runs routes like a wide receiver. He's a stout blocker. Boxes out with his frames. The one thing that I kind of noticed, though, is he lacks explosion. So his 40 time was good. But he's not a guy that's very explosive. So he's like a diesel truck. He's kind of like the Ryan Nall of tight
I was
ends,
just
where
gonna
he's
say that.
really got to get going before he picks up. It reminds me a lot of like a Heath Miller or a Dallas Clark or even Jason Witten, where
Those are good ones.
they're excellent pass catchers, they're excellent receivers, they're solid blockers, but they aren't quick and they aren't athletic, and that's what you get with Mark Andrews. You get a very solid receiver, but a guy whose athletic traits aren't going to blow you out of the water for any reason.
So my player in comp from him, because he was the first tight end I watched, so I had some fun with this. I called him the unathletic child of Bucky Hodges and Evan Ingram. And the reason I got to this is I just like Bucky Hodges. Mark Andrews, is a converted tight end from receiver, except at this point he's going to be going, early day 2 at some point where Bucky Hodges went, late day 3. So that draft capital will matter because the team that's investing in him knows that they need to work, on the issues that he has. And just like Evan Ingram he's going to struggle as as an inline blocker. He does a great job when he's lined up in the slot, as a blocker. He does a fantastic job at creating holes that way. But he's going to have to learn how to be a better inline blocker from there, really take the next, step. Otherwise, he's going to have to post the production that Evan Ingram was able to do.
No, and I agree with that completely. And like I said, it's, to me, the blocking problems are just that he's slow to him. He doesn't have that explosiveness, so he's slow to get to his spot. And, by the time he gets there, he's already beat.
Yeah, and he was extremely productive out of that role. I mean, he finished as a number 1 tight end with slot receptions and yards and deep catches and deep yards. He tied with Goddard. When he's used properly, he can actually be fairly effective. And you go back, I went back and watched Matt Walden's breakdown of a play and how he just uses his fact that he's not a great blocker to his advantage, where he can slip, he can slip past the chip block and get wide open right away.
I noticed that a lot too. He does a lot of chip blocking, and then he rolls out into the flat, and then he gets him the football,
open,
and he can
because he's smart
pick up some yardage.
Yep,
he's a heady player.
Yeah, there's definitely some good things like that I saw on his tape. The only other thing I would put down for him is he does struggle with his footwork. I saw him falling a lot in the tape that I watched.
All right.
I didn't. Okay. I didn't. Yeah.
I didn't, but I didn't notice anything egregious with it. But if I went back and watched, now that you said that, it may be something I noticed. It's just one of those things that I didn't necessarily.
It's also tight ends. I was kind of like, hey, we're at the finish line.
Tight ends are kind of stumbling, bumbling
mess
deuce anyway half the time.
They're definitely. I think them and quarterbacks are easily the two hardest to scout.
Yeah.
Tight ends is because they get bored right away.
Tight ends are very not athletic inherently most of the time.
And
so
I don't know how to scout blocking just yet, which I'm working
on it. We're learning things.
All right, on to Ian Thomas for number 5 out of Indiana, 7.2 overall. Hopper, you were the biggest fan of him.
I am a huge fan of Ian Thomas, and I've been personally pushing that hype train. He's got exceptional burst and quickness despite top end speed lacking. His tape speed's better than his combine numbers. Pretty steady as a pass protector. But you can see it after the catch. You can see the burst in his routes. You can see the burst out of his breaks. His athletic comp for the combine was C.J. Fedorowicz minus the CTE. But some of the negatives here, though, he dealt with injuries throughout most of his college career, so that could be a red flag. He's a little bit injury prone. That's the word I was looking for.
Prone.
Not a great run blocker. Even though he did do a lot of blocking for Indiana versus a lot more on the move. But he's a guy that's not being hyped up, and I think he's probably going to be the best value out of tight ends in this class.
He has massive athletic upside. I mean, he's got a 34 and an eighth inch arm, or his arm length's 34 and an eighth.
There you go.
There you go.
I got it. I understand what you're saying.
He's got 11 and a half inch hand size. He's got the arm length to be, potentially be a decent blocker. Hand size. He's got huge hands. That is all tight ends typically do. At least, some of them. He's got the raw talent. He's got that upside, which I keep saying a bunch. But which is what you want to take in these later rookie mocks, anyways. Or in the NFL draft where you're looking for kind of a decent palette to build around. So,
yep,
this is what he gives you.
To get into the issues I saw in his tape, he did seem to really struggle with route running, positioning, seeming to kind of know where he should be to get the most open.
Yeah, he's very raw.
And he struggled
raw all the time.
And he was strong in his blocks, but his technique was awful. Mm-hmm. So he needs a lot of coaching. Hopefully it's strictly a coaching issue and not a can't figure it out issue.
It is Indiana with one player that we all fucking hate there. So.
Yes.
He's a very raw prospect. He's
raw.
Yeah. Very raw. He needs to be thrown on the grill for a little bit.
He's still red.
Yeah, if he breaks out in the first 2 years, I would be amazed. he, I think, is a third-year breakout at earliest.
This is a guy who could actually find production on his second team, as we mentioned before. This is a
Mm-hmm.
guy that a team builds up, behind, said player, and then he goes to a new team, maybe like a Trey Burton, and he
Yeah.
explodes.
Yeah, he's definitely got that kind of upside where he could be a guy to just watch for his next team.
Yeah.
Technique can be taught, athleticism can't. So there you go.
And
You can't teach hand size.
Can't teach size either.
Can't teach size and athleticism. You can teach technique.
All right, and then the last guy in this class, Tyler Conklin out of Central Michigan. Decent size. He's not quite as big as some of the other guys in this class, coming in at 6'4", but his hands were amazing. He's also got, 11.5-inch hands, right?
Something like that.
Yeah, I think so.
But he's had some of the best catches I watched on film in the end zone for this class. So he's got the ability to actually go and be a red zone threat pretty early, I think, in his career, which is one of the biggest things I saw about him.
He's a former basketball player, so he's got that rebound mentality when he's making pass catches in my ball, and he can one-hand things.
Yep, he showed the ability to block out defenders, make jump ball catches, and he's also not a bad blocker either. He's not amazing, but
No.
it was good enough.
He's more athletic than the combine suggests also. His combine numbers weren't great, a 7.133 count, a 4.840, but
He was also hurt. He was hurt for the majority of 2017 season.
he was. And, he's still learning the position. And even though he's decent at it, you got to remember he's a basketball convert. So he's learning the position. He's learning how to play football. And it's another kind of raw athleticism, but man, does he make some flashy plays.
Yep, he's actually my number 3 tight end in this class.
Yep.
Him and Eamon Thomas are my favorite.
Thomas is my number 3. So
Conklin and Thomas are my favorite bench stashes.
And I honestly
in
like,
leagues.
yeah, I think Andrews is more floor than Thomas or Conklin, but
Jack Doyle.
yeah, Thomas and Conklin both have higher ceilings.
I agree with him.
And Hayden Hurst I'm so mad on him.
Yeah, that age does not help either.
No.
All right, so that's it for the second tier. Let's get a beer review in.
Beer review.
$6.8.
All right, so we have
6.8? No.
I figured that's what you were looking at the can.
No, I
for.
was just reading.
This is New Orthodox's M43 New England style India Pale Ale. Dan, let's have you kick off the review.
Well, damn it.
It's good.
It is good.
I really like it. I could drink it all day. For those,
For those
who
who
not
can't
on
see it,
YouTube,
I
he
just
just
pointed
pointed
at
at me.
All right, so this,
You know me. Come on, we've done this for 120 episodes. You know what I do.
So it's a highly juicy IPA, which is starting to become really the common style you're seeing right now with the New England types. I think they're significantly easier to drink than your standard West Coast or East Coast style IPA, so I'm a big fan of them. This is a really strong flavored one with very little hops on it whatsoever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very little bit of bitterness at the end. It's very fruit forward, very flavor forward. Alcohol content's there.
Yeah, I can taste the alcohol and I can feel the alcohol.
I can feel the alcohol
even
more than I
taste
can
the
taste the
alcohol.
alcohol.
I can't taste
Let's put
alcohol
it
at
this
all.
way. I'm going to put it to you guys this way as far as the drinkability of this beer. I have not finished a 16-ounce can of beer on this show for diet reasons or otherwise in probably, I don't know, the last 10 to 12 episodes. And I'm almost through this one, and we're halfway through it. And I don't have extras because I had one before we put this on the show. So,
Yeah, it's a very, very good beer if you're just looking for something with a little bit more flavor to it that is still very drinkable. Real intense on the burst on the front of it. But if you like that New England style, this is pretty much probably the best one I've ever had.
yeah, and the intensity is very flavor forward. It's not like other IPAs where the intensity is very hop or very bitter forward. It's very, very fruit, very, very flavor forward, to put it that way.
Yeah, keep coming with these New England IPAs because they're really good.
Yeah, this is our second one in 4 weeks or something like that.
Yeah, we've had quite a few of them on
We're a
lately.
few, yeah.
Don't
I like
worry.
'em.
I'm coming up next, so we'll get some stouts and
I mean, we just
Some
had a stout on
porters.
Friday.
Yeah.
we'll get some more of those.
What haven't we had? We haven't done ales in a while, I think. I think that's
Just a plain ale.
I think any type of ale. I don't
We
think
had
we've
the,
done ales in a bit.
We had it wasn't a blonde ale, it was the
Yeah,
we had-
the
it
4204.
No,
yeah.
that was a jewel though. Difference.
Okay.
Oh.
Well, yeah, we haven't had any ales on it. We haven't had a brown or a red ale on it in a real long time.
No, we haven't had a brown, a red, or an amber. I think the last
I thought we had a
pure.
red ale on not too long ago.
No, I think the last pure ale we did was JP Casper's when we did the white one.
That's a stout.
That was a stout.
No, we've had ale since then. That was back in like August.
That was a while ago.
But what we're saying is we need more beer.
Always.
Yeah, always.
There, we'll agree with that.
Well, wait, isn't our next one a wheat ale?
It's a
This one has
Preview for Wednesday's episode.
wheat in it.
it is a citrus wheat.
Beer.
Just a wheat.
It says citrus
For
wheat
those you
beer.
can't
So
see,
it's probably technically a Hefeweizen.
Okay, we'll find out.
All right.
you'll find out on Wednesday.
Shall we get to the painful tears?
Yeah, let's go. I'm feeling good enough for this
As
right
you
now.
say tears, as I'm crying a little bit on the
Yeah,
inside.
tears, as in the wet kind.
As we already made that joke Friday. Tier 3. First off, we
No, it's like tier
It's like
65.
tier 20, yeah.
got Christopher Herndon out of Miami, 6.8 overall. This is a guy who he's probably the last player that I saw that I'm like he might be fantasy relevant.
Yep, same for me. Chris Herndon is a guy that carried tacklers with him. His combine comps for Ed Dixon. He's a very good pass protector, but he's physical. I saw a lot of Delaney Walker on tape, just the way that he carried people and bounced defenders off of him. Not a polished route runner, doesn't gain a ton of separation, subpar athleticism. If he does break out, like you mentioned on Thomas, it's probably going to be later in his career. Mm-hmm. But he is a guy that could be something that's not just a pure blocking tight end, which is what we're about to get into.
This is the day 3 talent that I'm looking at just to see where he lands. He had a 4.2% career drop rate. Obviously, very sure hands on
You
that.
mean to tell me the landing spot matters?
I mean, come on.
We have an entire segment.
Hashtag landing spot matters.
Hey,
is it on the screen?
No.
No.
Oh, okay.
On Wednesday, we literally have an entire segment that'll be devoted to
I know.
landing spot matters.
I know.
Yeah.
And then just one other note. NFL.com say on their draft profile that Miami used him as a yak tight end, a guy that's supposed to just a screen tight end, a short yardage tight end that could be good enough to actually put together some yards.
These next guys are yak tight ends, as in they make me want to
Yeah,
yak.
nuke.
All right, so we go
And
from
cry.
a catch and run style tight end to a pure blocker in Durham Smythe. He's out of Notre Dame. Now he's a really, really good blocker.
He's exceptional.
This is Notre Dame, so I'm not shocked.
He's an exceptional blocker. He's got soft hands when he's asked to catch. He looks the part. He athletically comped to John Carlson. More Vikings love.
Jeez, man, all the Vikings tight ends.
Yeah.
And they need one.
But yeah, he's going to add a lot to a team's run game. I think he gets drafted probably in round 5 when a team's like, we need a blocking tight end.
Yeah.
That might be something more.
He blocks in line a ton, but he's got good size. He's 6'5", 253. He athletically isn't a whole lot worse than some of these pass catchers. So, I mean, maybe it's something he could grow into.
No wonder Josh Adams had 1,400 fucking yards this year.
Yeah.
My observation on him though was he didn't seem to have any feel for how to catch. Like he looked awkward out
He had
there.
26 total receptions throughout his career. Of course, he's not going to look like a pass catcher.
Right. I have 26 total receptions in my career,
Yeah.
and I've never played football. So.
That's amazing.
That's just what you
I
start
have more
with.
receptions than John Ross right now.
Outside
I mean, come on.
recreational. Yeah, John Ross. Jesus.
So yeah, he's going to be a great blocking tight end, but for fantasy purposes. So the only reason he got ranked so high is because he just crushed the blocking metrics for us, and then everything else was just like, eh.
It's gonna put him
blocking metrics.
it's gonna put it. Yeah. It's gonna put him on the field, and that matters.
And that's all that matters.
Yep. So he'll find a team. He'll stick on a team because they're going to love him, but I don't think he matters for fantasy.
Probably not.
All right, let's
Maybe.
get to tier 4.
Here for
Tier 75.
Here we go.
All right, these guys all basically come in at 6'4", tied. The first one here, I think, is the only one who might have any fantasy relevance whatsoever.
Don't even
It is
defend
a massive.
It's just Jordan Akins.
It is Jordan Akins.
Don't fucking draft Jordan Akins. He's
So-
too old.
He looks quick on tape, especially as a route runner, but he can't block a lick.
No.
He's
And he's
old
26.
He's old as hell.
So here's the line I wrote about him: is he looks like a converted wide receiver than a natural tight end. And then I looked up his bio. Oh yeah, that he is.
Yeah.
he played
He's-
1 year of tight end,
He's raw. He's too old. He played 4 years of
minor league baseball.
So just like Hayden Hurst,
Hayden Hurst.
personally played 3 years.
Yeah, this is what. So hold on, wait a second. So do we think that? So let's say that minor league baseball. Wait, hold on, I did that backwards. Let's say college football is where failed minor league baseball players go. Do you think Tim Tebow can come full circle?
Maybe. I think he's probably.
Who was
going
the guy that came out late from Florida State?
Winky?
Yeah, Chris Winky. He can be Chris Winky.
Don't mess with Winky. That was a
That was an old reference.
Yeah, it was an
that
old
was an
reference.
old reference.
At
Yeah.
least you-
Yeah, so Akins, if you watch his tape, you'll see him make some explosions, and he's good as a route runner because he's a former receiver, but he can't block.
if he was 3 years younger,
Yeah.
Yeah.
he'd be worth it. But like my hate on him, it's got nothing to do with him as a talent. Is that he's 26, 2-3 years on the line when he's supposed to break out. He's almost 30 years old. Like, and then you just throw him off to the side and say, "Good luck, son." That's it.
Yeah, the only way he works is he's got to have like a Ricky Seals-Jones type
He needs
explosion.
He needs a lot of luck
RS,
to build up a depth
little
projection.
RSJ,
A little bit.
a little bit of NASCAR.
NASCAR
I
himself.
love me some NASCAR.
All right, so enough about Akins. Let's move on to Dalton Schultz out of
The
Stanford.
good NASCAR, not the bad NASCAR.
So
Great run blocker.
yeah, he's an amazing run blocker. He sustained a ton of blocks for Bryce Love. He's got a good sense of where the defender is. He can stay between them and the quarterback. He looks pretty athletic as a blocker, but he can be overpowered from time to time. He's a body catcher. He's got very low fantasy value.
Yeah, I think I watched 3 games of tape on him, and I saw 1 or 2 catches.
Don't watch his tape when he played against Washington State. That was a big negative because he missed like 6 blocks in that game.
He just had a bad game.
Yeah,
in
that
one,
was just
though.
I was like, okay, who's ever posted, like, who's ever doing these breakdowns, like, don't show.
that.
You want to skip that game. You're trying
Yeah.
to hype him up.
That's why you watch.
not tear him down. That's our job.
That's why you watch multiple games, too. Because
Exactly.
any guy can have a bad game, and that was a bad game.
Yep.
Because he's generally not a bad blocker, but that's all he is a blocker.
Yeah, he was the second best pure blocker in this class that I saw behind Smythe.
But just like Hurst, he had 0 drops, and at least unlike was it Smythe?
Yep.
Yeah.
He had 55 receptions in college.
So
not
a little
great,
something.
but at least he
Little bit.
showed up a little bit.
This next guy, I cannot wait to talk about.
All right, we got Tony Fumajali, I think it's pronounced.
Mr. Nine
Golly.
Fingers?
Golly, sorry.
Yeah.
Mr. Nine Fingers?
Yep, he's got 9 fingers, and he's going to try to be a pass catching tight end. He's really,
But his
really,
hand size.
he's really, really thin. Doesn't that hurt your hand size when you're missing a finger?
That's why
Maybe.
I made that joke.
Maybe. No workout metrics at all, thanks
Yeah.
to hernia and hip injuries.
And on tape, he looked like a pretty marginal athlete from what I saw.
I have one note on his upside.
Yep,
Fumagalli sounds like it would be a really delicious Italian food.
it does. Or cheese, maybe.
Yeah, no, like something that has ricotta cheese in it.
He's gonna open up his own
Yes.
line of Italian restaurants when he
Yeah,
fails.
little,
here.
Chef Fumagalli.
Chef Fumagalli. That sounds so badass though.
but they're mall food court restaurants. it's mall food court.
They're going
Italian
after
food.
They're going after Sabaro.
Yeah, same vein
Are
as
they even
Sbarro.
around anymore?
Yeah,
Yeah, I think
Sabaro's
so.
still around.
yeah, they are.
All right.
But yeah, going after Sabaro. That's his future.
Yeah, the only real thing I saw at all that was good for him is he was an okay route runner. So he had the ability to get open, but man, he could not do a lot once he got
His
the ball.
arm length is the only upside I have put down.
He fought through
That's it.
defenders physically, which makes him look. I guess that.
And then let's
that's
get into
the
your
Gronk
favorite thing that
comparison.
you like to hate on him for.
What's that?
How he doesn't engage in blocks.
No, he does not engage in blocks at all. He one-hands some. He doesn't lock up in them. Everybody's like, ooh, he's a great run blocker. No, he's not. He's terrible. He's going to get shoved around at the NFL level. The only reason he's a good run blocker is because he's blocking college people.
And he's also in
It's
Wisconsin.
also Wisconsin who
Yeah, and
runs a
he's-
shit ton.
Yeah, and he was in the Big Ten. So, not exactly outside of Ohio State and Michigan. You're a giant football conference there.
Yeah, he's his tape was not good, though. Not the worst. The worst for me was up next, and that's Marcus Baugh.
Bah humbug. Bah humbug.
So he's one of the smallest tight ends in this class. He's a marginal athlete. He struggles to move in space. He kept trying to pick up run blocks downfield, and he would just miss people. It was
Nick
ugly.
eviscerates Ohio State player.
He his overall tape was really uninspiring, and he wasn't even really a threat as a receiver on top of it. So there's just nothing here. I don't think he gets drafted.
I don't think he does either. He wasn't used in the receiving game. When
And
he
he was
was,
just-
he double caught footballs.
And he was suspended for underage drinking.
Yeah, that's
I'm just saying he got caught twice doing it.
That's like being.
That's like, I mean,
That's like pot.
I know.
so you're saying he's an idiot.
You mean?
Yeah.
You mean to tell me that college kids drink and smoke the marijuana cigarettes?
No, Dad.
No.
Never.
Happy 420, everybody.
That was yesterday. Happy Brit. Never mind. Never mind.
Happy birthday, Maggie.
Is she?
Her birthday is 420.
Okay. The reincarnation.
I'm glad she doesn't listen to this podcast.
Would that be offensive?
Maybe.
Anyway.
All right. And one last player we got is Ryan Izzo out of Florida State. He is a solid run blocker, but he doesn't really seem to know how to be a serious threat as a receiver.
That was the first note I had on him under pros, exactly was solid run blocker.
And his the combine straight up fucking Ben Wallace him.
One
Dude,
thing-
he was so bad.
One thing, Ben Wallace? What does he
I
have?
mean Ben Watson. You got
Ben-
straight up Ben Watson. By the
Ben
combine.
Wallace, he's an NBA center.
Yes.
I mean, it makes sense.
He runs
got
like
blocked.
one.
Yeah, he
From
does.
back in from,
Yeah.
from way back in Pistons and
It-
Bulls lore.
But yeah,
It works.
a 4.9440.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a smart player, though. He can recognize busted coverage and when to disengage his blocks. I did notice that he did seem to be a pretty intelligent player, despite the fact that he's not athletic. So, for whatever that's worth, he's a guy that probably scored high on the Wonderlic, which, obviously directly correlates to your ability to
Play tight end.
play in the NFL.
It looks like Austin Hooper up there when he did his
Yeah.
after the catch against Clemson. I think he had a big a big breakaway play, and it looked like it took him 10 years to get to the end zone.
Yeah, he didn't have a single good metric at the combine. Everything was it was meh to awful.
He didn't have a single good thing in anything that I looked at.
I mean, he's 255 pounds. That's about the only good thing is he's big.
All right, can we wrap this up?
Yeah, let's wrap this
I'm
up.
tired of talking about these guys.
All right. So as you saw, this is a 6 tight end class. So look anything from Godert, Gesicki, Hurst, Andrews, Thomas, Conklin. If you're looking lower than that, you're looking too far.
We've gone too far.
We went too deep.
Because I'm in too deep.
And I'm trying to keep.
You
You figured I would look at the lyrics up for that, figuring that it would have came up again, but I didn't.
again.
So
You don't have it memorized at this point?
no.
All right. So enough about tight ends. Just want to do a couple more reminders. Thursday. So today, you should be listening to this on Monday. If you're not, shame on you for listening to it late. Shame. But we will be doing on Thursday a live coverage of the first round of the NFL draft while we play drinking games, roast all the picks. Hopefully Carolina gives us some more fodder for Hopper to rant and
I don't
rave
think
about.
Curtis Samuel could get drafted twice. So
No, but there's a couple people that could and might go there that I can't wait to lay into.
where they pick 26?
Yeah.
Yep, Calvin Ridley.
Yeah, that would be one of them.
All right, so hopefully there's some good on-screen stuff for there. Go to Beerfield Fantasy Football on YouTube. Subscribe to us so you can get a reminder of when we go live for that episode. Beyond that, I don't think we have anything else to add. We're just going to get to the Fun Wednesday episode next.
No, let's just go to the Fun Wednesday episode. Let's get out of here.
All right, later.
Peace.
Next time
Next time.
on Beerfield Fantasy Football.
Next time on Beer for Fantasy Football.
Thanks, Dan.
See ya.